Hello a charge agus aflian fwy hain is fwy washadiv. Hello my friends and Happy New Year. You know, the time from around Halloween until around this time, New Year, a little bit after, was traditionally seen as a time when you could read the signs to find out what was coming in Ireland. And today I want to tell you about some of those omens and signs that people were reading, and also about how people took a kind of active hand in the proceedings to make sure that things went the way they wanted them to. And I want to encourage us all to take a leaf out of their book so that we too can make our own luck. Fáilte a charge. Welcome, my friends. My name is Kate, and like you, like everyone here, I'm a multi-passionate creator. I love to make things, and I'm also a teacher, a scholar, and professor of Irish language and folklore. And I love the way folklore and creativity come together to help us live so joyfully. So let me tell you about some of these divinations. Now, as I say, really, the period of divination begins around Halloween. It's this whole darkest time of the year. I want to share two of these omens from Christmas, just because I think they're really interesting. The first one is sort of not a very hopeful one, but it gets better from here. And that is Noikglass Rel. Noikglass Rel, and that means a green Christmas makes for a fat churchyard. And by churchyard, we mean graveyard. So that idea that if it's a green Christmas, if the weather is not cold enough to snow, that actually there will be many deaths in the year to come. So people were looking out for those kinds of things. There's all sorts of death divinations, but that's the only one I'll give you for now. My favorite of the divinations, though, it's the most charming one ever, I think, and it's this. Tuair wai don aflian na piberi chali a chustal la nalig. Tuair wai don aflian na piberi chali a chustal la nalig. It's a good sign for the new year to hear the pipers of the hearth, that is, the crickets, on Christmas Day. Peabody Tally, the pipers of the hearth. So to hear the crickets chirping on your hearth on Christmas Day was a good sign of things to come in the new year. Now, we go on through New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, people are watching the weather very carefully. The great Irish folklorist Sean O'Sullivan says that people were even watching the rivers to see if the rivers were rising or falling, and they were correlating the rise of prices to the rising of the river and the falling of prices to the falling or the lowering of the river. All kinds of weather divination was happening. Some people even said that if the wind was blowing in a certain way, that the Irish cause would prevail. So politics and the wind, prices and the river, you can look at anything, the rising and setting of the sun, the way the moon looks, everything in nature was consulted as a kind of oracle. Now, at this time as well, and really starting with Halloween, we have the practice of marriage divination. Now, people were interested, and young women were interested very much in who they were going to marry all year round. But really, this starts around Halloween and continues through this time. One divination for right after Christmas or around the New Year is that girls and young women would put holly and ivy or mistletoe under their pillow and ask to dream about the man they would marry. So looking ahead to all of that. Now, New Year's Eve itself is a time where you can start to work the signs in your own favor. One of the names for New Year's Eve is Oíche na Cadamura, which means the night of the big feast, the night of the great feast, literally the night of the big share. Meaning, because we refer to your food as the chuid, your share of food. So this is the night where people believed that if you ate well, it would sustain you for a year. Sean O'Connell, a great Irish storyteller, says that if people didn't eat well on this night, they wouldn't eat well for another whole year. So this is not the night for dieting or intermittent fasting. This is the night to enjoy the good things of life. And I'd say that's a good idea maybe for all the big holidays. So that is the first way that people sort of took things that I want to share. There's lots of ways that people took things in their own charge and decided how they wanted their luck to go. A second way I wanted to share is the custom called first footing. And this is the belief that the very luckiest thing you can have as soon as the clock strikes midnight and it becomes New Year's Day, or certainly by the time you wake up in the morning, is that a black creature, a cat, rooster, anything, or a dark-haired boy or man would be the first to cross your threshold. So this is such an interesting custom, and people didn't always leave it to chance. Sometimes they did, but sometimes they also took it upon themselves to ask a neighbor or a friend or a relative to show up promptly at midnight and cross the threshold. And, many young boys were in great demand and loved it because when they crossed the threshold and brought the luck, they were given a little present. So that you can rig that yourself as well, of make sure that you have the luck. And finally, another custom that I find beautiful, this one to stave off want and hunger through the year. And that was that the husband or father or man of the house would take a cake of bread, a big piece of bread, and throw it against the door. And in some parts of Ireland, they would say this, an donas amach, so like badness outside or want and deprivation outside. An sonus ishtach, happiness, goodness inside. O anacht guji an vlian anacht. So from tonight until a year from tonight. So you can just, this part you might want to remember, an donas amach, bad outside, an sonus ishtach, goodness inside. So that all of this is establishing a momentum for what we want to see in the new year. So on that note, I would like to propose that we play with these ideas ourselves. So the first idea is, I'd love you to fill in this blank. It's a good sign for the new year. Now, how to fill in the blank? Look at what actually happens to you on New Year's Day itself, or the next day, or whenever. I believe that we can actually look at our lives as lucky. We're the ones who really get to decide that. It's totally up to us. That's an open secret. So you can look at the new year and say, it's a good sign for the new year to eat an omelet on New Year's morning. It's a good sign for the new year if it rains. It's a good sign for the new year if it's sunny. It's a good sign for the new year if your mother calls. Fill in this blank. Like, let's fill the comments up with great and even funny signs for the new year. Let's claim all of these things. The idea here that I love is, let's read the signs in our favor. Always, always, always. Whatever happens on this first day, these first couple of days, let's say that it's a sign of good things to come. Let's just do that. Now, the second thing I wanted to propose is that, like the Irish, we take some symbolic action to establish the momentum of things to come. So, for instance, if in the new year you really want to become a walker, go for a walk. If you want to sing more in the new year, make sure you sing just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot, but you'll be able to look back and say, the new year began with a song. Or share a pot of tea with someone you love, or give someone a hug, or call someone you love. Whatever it is, take symbolic action. And I want to make one suggestion for all of us. Let's have a good laugh on New Year's Day, or at least the days following, whenever you see this, because you can start the new year anytime you want. Let's have a good laugh, and that way we can say the year started with a good laugh, and it led to a wonderful year of laughter and love. And that is my heart's desire for you, my friends, for every one of you. a year of laughter and love and feeling lucky, because we are so lucky to be here, aren't we? So good. So please like this video as ever. Please do leave a comment. Play with us a little bit. I love what you're sharing. I so value everybody who shows up and shares. It's marvelous. We are a really cool community. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I'd love to have you in our community, and maybe consider sharing this video with someone who could use a lift. We love to have them too. I also just wanted to tell you that in the new year, in late January, I'm teaching 2 classes in case you're interested. One of them is a beginner Irish class. If you've always wanted to learn Irish, you might be interested. And the second one is about the folklore of the Cailleach, the hag of Irish tradition, and the Ban Fasa, the wise woman. So those 2 classes are actually, the tuition is on sale right now, and I'll put a link in the first comment in case you'd like to take a look. Thank you as ever for being here with me, and I am wishing you the wonderful, wonderful laughter and loving filled first week of this new year. I'll see you next week.